boys and girls, and welcome to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and this is the review of the apocalyptic horror film written and directed by Michael Skarnowski, and it is based on a story that was conceived by John Krasinski, who directed the first two of Quiet Place films, and this is the third installment, which serves as a spinoff or a prequel, if you will, A Quiet Place Day One. The film stars Lupita Nyong'o and Joseph Quinn, along with Alex Wolff and German Hensu. This is this is a film that I was highly anticipating for the simple fact I enjoyed the first two Quiet Place films so much. I love those films because there are different takes of the horror genre. It isn't just monster movies or an alien movie or invasion movie, I should say. It's more to it. It's more to it. The first two films were family films in its core, and this film is not a family film. This is a departure of sorts from our tone from the first two films, but it is still poignant nonetheless. The writer-director of this film, Michael Skarnowski, he directed a film a couple of years ago with Nicolas Cage called Pig. And admittedly, I was late to the party with that film because I'm like, why would I want to watch a revenge film about Nicolas Cage running around seeking vengeance for somebody who stole his pig? That's the movie. That's the basic synopsis of that film. But that's not the film. I assure you, Pig is such an amazing movie and one of the best Nicolas Cage performances in recent memory. I enjoyed Pig so much. So when he came aboard as the director of this film, I was very excited because it has the same sensibilities as A Quiet Place. You know, I'm talking about Pig as far as the tone is concerned. As far as kind of nervousness going into this film, there are a couple of things that I was nervous about going into this. You know, like I mentioned before, the first two films in this franchise, A Quiet Place and A Quiet Place Part 2, were directed by John Krasinski, and he did a phenomenal job with those films. I mean, the direction in those movies were so good to the point where I want John Krasinski to direct more films. I like him as an actor. I like him as an actor, but I love him as a director. He is a amazing director. And I was a little disappointed that he didn't direct this film, but as I said, okay, if we're gonna do this differently, get a different director, Michael Skarnowski is a pretty decent replacement. And it's not like John Krasinski didn't have a part in this film. He did write the story for this film, so he still had his toe in the water when it came to A Quiet Place Day One. My other kind of nervousness, and I'm admitting this now because when I was sitting in the theater watching this movie, I was wondering, why did I have that feeling? The feeling was Lupita Nyong'o. I was worried on how she was going to carry this film. As phenomenal of an actress she is, she's an Academy Award winning actress, people. So I'm not. I feel like an idiot saying this. I don't even know why I'm confessing this, but hey, I try to be open and honest with all of you. I have never seen her lead a film of this caliber. You know, yes, she was in Black Panther, of course, in the sequel. Yes, she was in Us. She led that film, but that was more, not so much an ensemble. Well, I guess it was kind of ensemble, and that was more of a Jordan Peele film. You know, that wasn't really a Lupita Nyong'o film. You know, so this film, this is her. She is carrying this movie. She is in it from beginning to end. Literally, the first shot of this film is her. the final shot of this film is her. Spoilers. It as a joke spoiler, but I'm not gonna spoil the movie because we were gonna do a full spoiler review, but I decided not to because if you haven't watched this film, I don't want to be the one to break it. This is a film that you need to experience. Uh, I'm dancing around it, but here it is. I loved A Quiet Place Day One. This is probably one of the best, and it's only three of them, but it's one of the best in the franchise. But this is up there with the first, with the tippy top, man. The first one, I love this movie. I love how this movie is constructed. I love how this movie plays out. I loved how it was paced. Well, I liked how it was paced. I can honestly tell you because I was told to be honest and tell the truth when I do this review. I went to go see this film with my girls, and there was a moment in the film. I guess you could say the end of the second act started the third act, where I dozed off for a couple of seconds. I did do I dozed off for about 2 or 3 seconds, and we got out the theater. My daughters made it a point to mention it, and also made it a point that I had to mention it on here. So there you have it. But I didn't miss anything. It was just for a couple of seconds. I didn't nod off and miss the whole second act of the film because I've done that before. But it wasn't the movie's fault per se. It was more or less, well, I didn't sleep the night before. I didn't get any sleep. I couldn't go to sleep for whatever reason it was. And so I was tired, and then it hit me while I was sitting in the theater with the reclined seats and all that. I was like, oh, come on. And so I got too comfortable, and I think I dozed off for a second. But I saw the entire movie, except for those 3 or 4 seconds that I kind of nodded off. I don't know. I didn't time it, but I do remember every aspect of it. There's nothing I missed, story rise and all that. But there was moments of quiet. There was, just, it's a quiet place, duh. But it was so quiet. It was really nothing happening at particular points in this film where you probably will get a little drowsy if you're not 100% in it. But me, I just didn't sleep the night before. But you get where I'm coming from. But other than that, this movie moves pretty good. This movie has a really good pace, and just like the previous two installments in this franchise, it's not super horror film for the whole 1 hour and 40 minutes. It's at moments, earned moments, should I add, those moments of horror, those moments of dread, the moments of tense drama. They're there, but it's not too many of it. But you're there for the story. You're there to follow our main leads. You followed John Krasinski's character in the first film. You followed the character of Reagan in the second film. And in this film, you're following Lupita Nyong'o's character. And her character, aside from this alien invasion, is going through something on her own that is, some may compare to this alien invasion, if not worse than this alien invasion that she's going through. And it's tragic, man. It's tragic, especially if you know somebody who had to deal with this disease, cancer I'm talking about here. If you know somebody who had to go through all that, if you know somebody who was at the end, who was in hospice and pretty much just sitting around waiting for their clock to get punched, it's dreadful. And I know firsthand of people that have experienced this, and hey, you may not know somebody, you may be going through it. And if you are, my prayers are with you. But that element that you added to this franchise worked. That could have been easily mishandled, in the wrong hands. This could have been mishandled so bad, not taken seriously, kind of offensive or disrespectful or whatever, but it wasn't. This was handled so well. And man, I mean, her Lupita Nyong'o, once again, I feel when we get to award season at the end of the year, the beginning of next year, her name should be in the running. Her performance in this film is probably her best. I'm being dead honest here. I When she won for 12 Years a Slave, I was like, okay, that's good. But I really didn't dig 12 Years a Slave. So I really couldn't analyze her performance in that movie because slave movies just don't do it for me, for obvious reasons. I hate those movies. Um, so I didn't really take the time and dissect her performance. But in every other film that she has been a part of, she's been awesome, and I enjoyed her. I'll go see a film because she's in it. She's gotten to that status with me. And so with her leading this film and, I mean, grabbing the bull by the horns and just running with it. Oh, man, what a performance. What a performance. Speaking of performances, Joseph Quinn. Joseph Quinn at moments, was out acting Lupita Nyong'o. He was doing his thing. Well, how the kids say it, he was eating. I mean, he was doing his thing. If you don't know who Joseph Quinn is, he is the actor who played Eddie on Stranger Things last season. Oh, man, and for all you comic book fans, he will be playing Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, in the upcoming Fantastic Four film. So you have that to look forward to, and I think that's a perfect choice, especially after watching this. I'm like, man, give him everything. Give him everything. His performance was amazing because for 99% of the film, it's just him and Lupita Nyong'o. And they have some of the best chemistry I've seen in a motion picture ever. Forever. I can't take it. And I've seen films where husband and wives have starred next to each other. I've seen films where brothers have starred together, sisters have starred together, father and sons and daughters and mother, all that. I've just seen family members in films together and didn't have as much chemistry as Lupita Nyong'o and Joseph Quinn had in this film. Now, is this a little hyperbole? It's possible. I could be embellishing a bit. Could be. But I don't think I am. Because for this reason, they were together 99% of the movie. Keep in mind, this is a quiet place, which means they couldn't talk. And they didn't know ALS or ASL, I'm sorry. So they weren't signing to one another. They weren't speaking to one another, but they were communicating nonetheless. They were talking through emotions, through facial expressions, the way they communicated with one another was just like, how? How did they pull this off? And it was believable. You really believed that these people grew a fondness to each other, and it wasn't instant. It wasn't your typical cheesy love at first sight type thing, and it wasn't even a romantic thing in this film. It was just the human will to survive and look out for one another that brought them together. And it was, oh my God, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. It was amazing. Joseph Quinn is another one who they can kind of just pencil in. They don't have to put it in pen, but pencil in come award season. Great performance by him. Alex Wolff, great, did a great job. I just learned today. I was today years old because my daughter told me, because she was excited to see Alex Wolff. And I'm like, how you know who Alex Wolff is? And she was like, oh, the Naked Brothers band or whatever she said. I'm like, who is that? What is that? Hey, that was a Nickelodeon show that came on when they were younger. I didn't know nothing about that. I always knew him and his brother from horror films and stuff. His brother, was it him or his brother that was in Hereditary? I think it was him. I think he was in Hereditary, and Jumanji, the new Jumanjis with The Rock, or was that his brother? I can't remember. No. His brother. Look, I'm going on this whole tangent. Anyway, Alex Wolff, he did a good, he did a really good job, uh, in this film. German Hensu. I was hoping to see more of German Hensu. Um, from the little, I guess you'd say glorified cameo in A Quiet Place Part 2. He wasn't in that movie long. And so when he was going to appear in this one, because keep in mind this is a prequel, I thought that we were going to get a lot more. We do get more than we got in Part 2, but it still wasn't a lot. I was kind of let down by that. Um, Aside from that, everything else was perfect to me. This bringing it to this level, raising the stakes, if you will, putting this in the big city, in New York City, the city that never sleeps, and you're making it take a nap with these aliens here, man. Oh, perfect, perfect. You expanded the universe, you expanded the world. It's not just relegated attacking this one family. You know what I'm saying? So this really raises the stakes as far as this being a global thing. This is happening around the world now. Even though the previous two films did a good job of displaying that, but to actually visually see it is something of a jarring experience, if you will. I do have a couple of negatives. I mentioned I didn't get enough of German Hensu character, even though he has some very good scenes in this film. When he's on time is not when he's on screen is not a waste of time. It is poignant. It helps the story move. He does an excellent job. I just wanted more of him. There's a death that takes place in this film. Once again, no spoilers. There's a death that takes place, I would say, towards the end of the first act. It made me mad the way it happened. I wasn't mad at the death. I understood the death. I understood why that death had to happen, but it was how it happened. Just logically, it didn't make sense to me how that had happened. But it is what it is. Um, there was a kind of a leap in logic in the cat character, because the cat plays a major role in this film. The cat, in my personal analysis of the film, I'm pretty sure the filmmaker's probably going to come out later and give the reason for the cat, what the cat represents, and I'll be 100% wrong. But the cat represents a certain thing. Well, hope. The cat represents hope. That's my theory on that. And the cat pops up in parts of this film that I'm like, where did the cat come from? how, did, how did the cat survive this? It's stuff like that. It only happened maybe 2 or 3 times. It wasn't a deja vu cat from the Matrix. It just popped up a couple of times, and I was like, where did the cat come from? But I get the symbolism of the cat. I understand what the cat represents. It's a beautiful thing. It is beautiful that they use that cat for that, but it just logically it kind of threw me off. But it's a movie about aliens who can't see but have a extreme acute sense of hearing. So whatever. Who cares about the cat? But overall, this was a marvelous film. Super satisfied with it. A great addition to this franchise that nobody saw coming. A Quiet Place Day One, which is currently in theaters, gets a letter grade of an A. It is clearly one of the best films of the year, in my opinion. Definitely, the best horror film, I would say, is this year. I think it's excellent, excellent. But I would like to know, what did you think? Did you enjoy A Quiet Place Day One? Are you looking forward to A Quiet Place Part 3, which is scheduled to come out next year? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I would love to know your thoughts. Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also search for the show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Also, search for the KB Radio Network channel on YouTube. Subscribe and like this video if you don't mind. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this review of A Quiet Place Day 1. Can't wait to speak to you on the next go round. I want you all to know that I love you. Continue to love everyone. And until we speak again, you all be blessed.